It's less of a worry than it used to be, mostly due to taking more of a fatalistic attitude. It's not necessarily bad. It's definitely going to be outside of human control. Yeah, it's not necessarily bad. It's just outside of human control. Now, the thing that's going to be tricky here is that it's going to be very tempting to use AI as a weapon. It's going to be very tempting. In fact, it will be used as a weapon. So the on-ramp to serious AI, the danger is going to be more humans using it against each other, I think, most likely. That'll be the danger. Well, I mean, you could argue that any group of people, like a company is essentially a cybernetic collective of people and machines. That's what a company is. And then there's different levels of complexity in the way these companies are formed. And then there's sort of like a collective AI in the Google search, where we're all sort of plugged in as like nodes on the network, like leaves on a big tree. And we're all feeding this network without questions and answers. We're all collectively programming the AI, and Google plus all the humans that connect to it are one giant cybernetic collective. This is also true of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all these social networks. They're giant cybernetic collectives. Yes, I mean, when I made this comment some years ago, but it feels like we are the biological bootloader for AI, effectively. We are building it. And then we're building progressively greater intelligence. And the percentage of intelligence that is not human is increasing. And eventually, we will represent a very small percentage of intelligence. But the AI is informed, strangely, by the human limbic system. It is, in large part, our id writ large.
How so?
We mentioned all those things, the sort of primal drives.
Mm-hmm.
There's all the things that we like and hate and fear. They're all there on the internet. They're a projection of our limbic system.
This is
in some measure, like the success of these online systems is sort of a function of how much limbic resonance they're able to achieve with people. The more limbic resonance, the more engagement. Things are getting more and more connected. They're, at this point, constrained by bandwidth. Our input-output is slow, particularly output. Output got worse with thumbs. You know, we used to have input with 10 fingers, now we have thumbs. But images are they're a way of communicating at high bandwidth. You take pictures and you send pictures to people. That communicates far more information than you can communicate with your thumbs. I try to convince people to slow down AI, to regulate AI. This was futile. I tried for years. No, but maybe they will. So far they haven't. I think people don't, normally the way that regulations work is very slow indeed. So, usually there'll be some new technology. It will cause damage or death. There will be an outcry. There will be an investigation. Years will pass. There will be some sort of insight committee. There will be rulemaking. Then there will be oversight, eventually regulations. This all takes many years. this is the normal course of things. If you look at, say, automotive regulations, how long did it take for seatbelts to be implemented, to be required? You know, the auto industry fought seatbelts, I think, for more than a decade. Successfully fought any regulations on seatbelts, even though the numbers were extremely obvious. If you had a seatbelt on, you would be far less likely to die or be seriously injured. It was unequivocal. And the industry fought this for years successfully. Eventually, after many, many people died, regulators insisted on seatbelts. This time frame is not relevant to AI. You can't take 10 years from the point at which it's dangerous. It's too late. It's not necessarily a doomsday countdown. It's a, people call it the singularity, and that's probably a good way to think about it. It's a singularity. It's hard to predict, like a black hole, what happens past the event horizon. It could be terrible, and it could be great. It's not clear.
Right.
But one thing is for sure, we will not control it. Well, that's the scenario. The merge scenario with AI is the one that seems like probably the best. Like
for us.
Yes. Like if you can't beat it, join it. That's
yeah.
You know. So from a long-term existential standpoint, that's like the purpose of Neuralink, is to create a high bandwidth interface to the brain such that we can be symbiotic with AI. Because we have a bandwidth problem. You just can't communicate through your fingers, it's too slow. I think we'll have something interesting to announce in a few months. That's at least an order of magnitude better than anything else. Probably, I think better than probably anyone thinks is possible.
How much can you talk about that right now?
I don't want to jump the gun on that. Effectively merge with AI, where AI serves as a tertiary cognition layer, where we've got the limbic system, kind of primitive brain essentially. We've got the cortex. So you're currently in a symbiotic relationship. Your cortex and limbic system are in a symbiotic relationship, and generally people like their cortex and they like their limbic system. I haven't met anyone who wants to delete their limbic system or delete their cortex. Everybody seems to like both. And the cortex is mostly in service to the limbic system. People may think that the thinking part of themselves is in charge, but it's mostly their limbic system that's in charge. And the cortex is trying to make the limbic system happy. That's what most of that computing power is oriented towards. How can I make the limbic system happy? That's what it's trying to do. Now, if we do have a third layer, which is the AI extension of yourself, that is also symbiotic. And there's enough bandwidth between the cortex and the AI extension of yourself such that the AI doesn't de facto separate, then that could be a good outcome. That could be quite a positive outcome for the future. It will enable anyone who wants to have superhuman cognition. Anyone who wants. This is not a matter of earning power, because your earning power would be vastly greater after you do it. So it's just like anyone who wants can just do it. In theory. That's the theory. And if that's the case, then, and let's say billions of people do it, then the outcome for humanity will be the sum of human will, the sum of billions of people's desire for the future. It's kind of like, how much smarter are you with a phone or computer than without? You're vastly smarter, actually. You know, you can answer any question. If you connect to the internet, you can answer any question pretty much instantly, any calculation. Your phone's memory is essentially perfect. You can remember flawlessly. Your phone can remember videos, pictures, everything perfectly. That your phone is already an extension of you. You're already a cyborg. You don't even, well, most people don't realize they are already a cyborg.
Today.